wasn't the policeman's fault in all the traffic roar. Instead of shouting halt when he saw me, he shouted amor, 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 amor. Even the ice cream man, free ice creams by the score. Instead of shouting butter pecan, one look at me, he shouted amor, amor, amor. All over town it went that way. Everybody took off the day. Even philosophers understood how good was the good, 'cause I looked so good. The poor stopped taking less. The rich stopped needing more. Instead of shouting no and yes, both looking at me shouted amor. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. 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 My stay in town was cut short. I was dragged to court. The judge said I disturbed the peace, and the jury gave him 1-4. The judge raised his hand, and instead of desist and cease, Judgy came to the stand, took my hand, and whispered, amor, amor, amor. Night was turning into day. I walked alone away. Never see that town again. But as I passed the church house door, instead of singing amen, the choir was singing amor. Da-da-da-dee-da, da-da-da-dee-da-da-da-da. Amor, 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 amor. This is my first big performance in Toronto. I moved here maybe 2 months ago now, and I've met so many wonderful people already just through preparation of this recital, and I couldn't be more grateful to be here right now. A little bit about the first set of today is by William Bolcom and Arnold Weinstein, and I had the great fortune of working with William Bolcom and his wife Joan Morris, who these songs were written for back between, I think they were written over the course of 30 years between the 60s, 80s, 90s. And they cover all different characterizations of people, places, and times from Stonewall to 1980s Michigan and studying meditation. So the first few songs, you can imagine a bustling street in New York City and some characters that you meet there. And then the last two are a little bit more introspective about these beautiful realizations that we have about life as we get more in touch with the world around us. A little caveat about George. This song, when it was premiered, was a little bit more farcical, a little bit more of a joke. I think with the advancements in trans rights and knowing more about the violence that has been visited upon these people, especially back in that time, the song has taken on more of a tragic tone, but also is so imbued with love for this person that was such an important part of that neighborhood. So we hear George.
dressed in black. Long black jacket, broad black hat, sometimes a cape, and as thin as rubber tape, Black Max. He would raise that big black hat to the big shots of the town, who'd raise their hats right back, never knew they were bowing to Black Max. I'm talking about night in Rotterdam, where the right people of all the town would find what they could in the night neighborhood of Black Max. There were women in the windows with bodies for sale, dressed in curls like little girls in little dollhouse jails. When the women walked the streets with their beds upon their backs, who was lifting up his brim to them? The Black Max. And there were looks for sale, the art of the smile. Only certain people walked that mystery mile. Artists, charlatans, vaudevillians, men of mathematics, acrobatics, and civilians. There was knitting needle music from a lady organ grinder with all her sons behind her. Marco, Vito, Benno, was he strong, though he walked like a woman. And Carlo, who was 5, he must be still alive. Poor Marco had the sif, and if you didn't take the terrible cure in those days, you went crazy and died, and he did. And at the coffin, before they closed the lid, who raised his lid? Black Max. I was climbing on the train, one day going far away to the good old USA, when I heard some music underneath the tracks. Standing there beneath the bridge, long black jacket, broad black hat, playing the harmonica, one hand free, to tip that hat to me. Black Max, Black Max, Black Max. My friend George used to say, "Oh, call me Georgia, hon. Get yourself a drink," and sang the best soprano in our pot of time, in beads, brocade, and pins. He sang if you'd happened in through the door he never locked, and said, "Get yourself a drink," and sang out loud till tears fell in the cognac and the chocolate milk and gin, and on the beads, brocade, and pins. When strangers happened through his open door, George said, "Stay, but you gotta keep quiet while I sing, and then a minute after, and call me Georgia." One fine day, a stranger in a suit of navy blue took George's life with an eye place beside an apple pie he'd baked, and stabbed him in the middle. Oh, benedive vedremo, as he sang for this particular stranger who was in the United States Navy. The funeral was at the cocktail hour. We knew George would like it like that. Tears fell on the beads, brocade, and pins in the coffin, which was white, because George was a virgin. Oh, call him George. Get yourself a drink. You can call me George Hun. Get yourself a drink. Thias, king of Orth, kicked his uncle out of the cabinet. Dad, can we live in the elevator building? Kid, with our luck, we'd live on the ground floor. Dad, why aren't we communists? Kid, we can't afford it. Dad, I saw the devil on the fire escape. Long, pointed pussy ears. What kind of devil is that, kid? No tail, no horns. Crawl into bed with your mother and me. Dad, is there a heaven? Heaven there is, kid, and it's right here. People in heaven are dying to get into this place. Dad, what is a death wish? I hear this death wish, and I wish I was dead. Dad, who am I? That's a good question, kid. We'll let you know, you'll see. Dad, how will I see? You'll see by the light of your silvery heart. I'm talking science now, kid. Dad, what is the soul? Sort of a sigh with a wink in it. Something like that. Ah, what the hell. Gee, Dad, you know everything. Dad, will I always find you? Kid, behind the label, under the table, you'll find me and I'll find you. And I'm Kid, now close your eyes and you will see all right behind your sight a light the size of a poppy seed on a Danish to go. Now let's put out that light and go to This is what I want to do. My heart is sit real still with you. After all that cruising in, around, and out of town, put them down who dared refuse me, and the same old line I threw. Ah, but up, up, up I grew. And now all I want to do, my heart is sit real still with you. After all that screeching, talking fast and slowing down, only now and then to reach you, when you'd let me know I knew that what I preach is none too true. And now all I want to do, my heart is sit real still with you. 'Cause I do know this about people, and I don't mean some. Awfully smart people are often awful dumb, aren't we? We just don't realize that behind the eyes, behind the mind, you'll find the sweetest brilliance and a stillness of such blue that's why all I want to do, my soul, is sit real still with you. Oh, so sweetly down the hill. That is what I want to do. Sweet